Welcome back. We usually have our Morning Cup of Joe segment with Sheriff Joe Lombardo on Wednesdays. He's running for governor, so instead we have Mornings with Metro, and we're joined by Undersheriff Christopher Darcy. Thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the time to be here this morning.
Good stuff. Okay, so let's talk about a serious issue in the Valley. The number of homicides, it's concerning. There have been a lot of high-profile cases here in the Valley. A lot of them tend to be connected to domestic violence. What is Metro doing to try and bring that rate of crime down?
Yeah, well, as you can see across the country, right, we're experiencing a rise in homicides, and we're not immune to that here in Las Vegas. We're up about 68%. But I'm happy to say that our clearance rate is over 93%. So we're solving the murders that are occurring. A lot of the incidents that we respond to, we haven't been called to the residence previously. And as you mentioned, domestic violence is obviously a concern, right? So we focus on that, partnering with Safe Nest and with our victim witness advocate groups within Metro Police, and we try to get them the help before we have an incident.
As I was going to say, the clearance rate is obviously good, that there are suspects are found and charges are brought, but obviously the ideal thing would be for whether it's Metro or the community organizations to be at the scene before it gets to that extreme and that deadly level. Sort of on the same note here, a troubling series of cases involving children who have been murdered recently in the Valley. There have been several high-profile cases we've been covering. This has to be challenging. It's challenging for us as viewers and the public to see what are the challenges from a detective, from an investigative standpoint, to get to some resolution, to get to a suspect, and just to dig through the details of these cases.
Many of our officers have families, they have children, right, and you tend to self-associate with something like that. And we've noticed that really, I mean, this year alone, John, we've had 6 children killed under the age of 14 versus same time last year where we had 0. And they're rather bizarre incidents where we haven't had contact beforehand.
Yeah,
so
and
it makes it challenging.
And the case of the 7-year-old found out in Mountain Springs, they were from California, so there wouldn't have been no connection here to Las Vegas, presumably beforehand.
Correct, so, yeah, and that was a case where we didn't have any opportunity to intercede.
What are some ways that people can de-escalate road rage so it doesn't escalate to that level? If you're in that situation, there's a lot of adrenaline going. How should people try and downplay or downgrade that level of emotion?
The idea really is to take a deep breath and not get into a conflict. Avoid it, right? Stay in your car, call the police, keep driving, drive away, turn off the street. It's not worth being in a life or death confrontation over a perceived traffic slight, where the person who maybe cut you off or you cut them off, it was purely by accident sometimes.
Are you seeing more anger on the roads as well? As Metro officers seeing more of that on the street?
Yeah, I think it does translate into our everyday activities, right? I mean, we see it with domestic violence call increases.
Well, Undersheriff, we appreciate you joining us this morning. If you have a question for Metro Police, you can submit it on our website, of course, 8newsnow.com. Find out if your question is answered every Wednesday during Mornings with Metro.